Hey guys, welcome to the Something About Tuesdays podcast. I'm your host, Phebe Joi. Join me every other Tuesday for a lighthearted podcast to keep you company while you do your thing. Hey guys, welcome back to Something About Tuesdays, episode 28. I'm your host, Phebe Joi, and hi! Hey! Welcome! I'm so glad you're here. If you had a chance to listen to the bonus episode last week, I hope you enjoyed it. It was just I would say a brief summary, but it wasn't actually very brief. I think it was longer than my normal episodes. But I was just kind of recounting my experience on the Apostolics at Sea cruise. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you didn't get a chance to listen, go back and listen. It's a pretty fun episode. But if not, hey, welcome. If you're just here for the regular main content, we're back. We're back to normal. Everything is good to go this week. And hi. I hope you've had a good week. I hope your day's going good today. If not, I hope it gets better. And I say that because a couple weeks ago, you guys, I had to have the Mondayest, how do you even say that? The Mondayest Monday that you can imagine. You know how Mondays kind of get a bad rap. And I usually like to say, it's not Monday's fault that it's the day that comes after a weekend. Like, it's just the day. It's not its fault. And I feel like people don't look forward to it because you got to go back to work after having, time to yourself for 2 days. You now have to give your time back to your work, your job, or something else. And so Mondays generally aren't the most looked forward to day of the week. But the past Monday, not this past Monday, but the Monday before, you guys, it was a Mondayest Monday. I mean, just inconvenience, there was a lot of things to do. I knew it was going to be busy, random little things. It was one of those, woke up late, trying to get to work on time. I'm driving and so when I get on the way to work, this is just explaining one of my Mondayest moments. On my way to work, there is this big intersection light where I just have to turn right, okay? And the thing is, you know how sometimes there's not a separate lane for people to turn right. It's also part of the going straight lane. Y'all can go ahead and imagine what I'm about to say. Well, right next to this, there is a possibility for you to turn into a parking lot that's right there in the corner. It's a tire store in the corner. And you can go into that parking lot and go out the other way and be on the road that you need to be, the one that intersects the one you're about that could be crossing it. So that Monday, I was driving. I'm already running late, right? I'm already I got to get there. Let's go. And I like to gauge. When I come up to this light, I try to gauge, okay, is the car in front of me going straight because the light's green right now or whatever? Are they going straight that I can just follow them and go right? Are they going to slow down at the yellow that I need to whip into the parking lot before I pass the entrance and get stuck there behind them? Or should I just, or do I not care and I just roll up, wait, go forward, whatever? Well, this time I was like, okay, I'm trying to gauge this. And I go up and it looks like cars are going. And I'm like, okay, but I start slowing down because cars also, they were going and then a car slowed down. And I didn't realize it, but the lane next to me, which also is going straight, I guess somebody had their hazard lights on. So people were trying to get into my lane and go straight. Well, I didn't realize this at the time. So I was like, they're slowing down. But then the car in front of me just kind of zoomed. And I was like, oh, great. But then the car beside me in the other lane, trying to get over, past the person with their hazard lights on, very quickly gets over, which is fine, except that the light turned red. Yellow, I would say. And I was like, come on, we can go. But the car stopped and I had already passed where I could turn into the parking lot. And so now I was stuck behind this car that wasn't supposed to be there in the first place when I needed to turn right. And when it's a big intersection, you got to wait for everybody to get their turn. So the people have to go left, then they got to go straight, then the other side has to go. And I was just like, are you serious? And that was the beginning of my Monday. And it progressively continued to not. It wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was bad, but just the inconvenient sort of little things kind of kept happening on that Monday. But then, so that was Monday, right? And I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Well, Tuesday, y'all, Tuesday, you know I love my Tuesdays, right? Tuesday is your day to reset, and you're like, okay, Monday, it could have been great, could have been not, whatever, but Tuesday, let's do this. So Tuesday was my reset day. Tuesday was going to be better. Y'all, Tuesday wasn't much better. I don't know what it was about those 2 days, but they were just days filled of just inconveniences and small annoyances. And thank God nothing bad or terrible, but just, what days, right? And so one of the reasons, though, that I was having those kind of days was because there were certain things happen in those days, certain interactions I knew I'd be having with people and things like that. And really not just those days, but that week that were weighing heavy on my mind. And so my own anxieties and expectations of, okay, like I want to make sure that I make a good impression here, or I want to make sure that this person sees the best side of me, or I want to make sure that I'm being a good witness here, and I want to make sure that I'm being a good friend here. And for whatever reason, those things were just weighing on my mind, which increased, anxiety and increased those type feelings, which I think attributed to some of those frustrations. And finally, I feel like God had to kind of sit me down and said, and there was a specific situation that I was going into. And I feel like God either impressed on me or told me that instead of going in there trying to prove who you are, right? Trying to prove that you are nice, kind, great, smart, intelligent, etc. Whatever it is that I was trying to prove, just go in there and be who you are. And I was like, oh, okay. And for whatever reason, I was able to kind of breathe after that, because it was like, it's kind of hard to explain, but it was like, okay, I can only bring who I am, right? I am only so much. I can only do so much. I am only who I am. And I think I was trying to set myself so much on, I've got to prove that I'm this person. I got to prove that. And God was like, you don't have to prove anything. Just be who you are. And people will either accept it or reject it or love it or hate it or whatever, but it's who you are. You don't have to be more than who you are, right? In that moment, you can be the best version of yourself. Be that, definitely. Always try to be that, but don't be so focused on just trying to prove your worth to other people. And I find that that's kind of something that not recently has come to light, but I am someone who I like, you guys know, I've said it plenty of times, I'm a words of affirmation person. I love when people tell me, kind things, when they can say good things, when they tell me they love me, when they tell me that they appreciate me, when they use words, when they say that they're proud of me. And that's been a big thing lately. For whatever reason, I've been like, I just want to hear I'm proud of you, which I've gotten. People have been saying, I'm so proud of you, with different things like the voice competition, things like that. And I didn't realize how much that meant to me. But then that kind of desire to want to consistently make people proud of me, I was like, I like this feeling. I want to continue to make people proud of me. Started giving me a little anxiety, because then I was like, oh no, now I have to be this amazing person all the time, or they will no longer be proud of me. And I was getting myself in this cycle. So I don't know if you are someone who's ever dealt with that or felt like that, but I'm here to tell you that don't go into that space trying to prove who you are, trying to prove that you belong, trying to prove anything. Just go in there and be who you are, and be okay with that. And know that if you're in that space, you're meant to be there, right? Unless it's a bad space. Don't take it out of context, y'all. But, hopefully you get what I'm saying. So that did encourage me and help me to, I would say, take on the rest of the week and, continue to have better days. And last week and this week have been pretty good overall. And so, yeah, but it did start out with some Mondays. Also last week, I figured out that humans are very smart. And obviously this is a given, but what made me think about it was I had to get some blood drawn last week, and people always have troubles drawing my blood. I get pricked, poked, potted just constantly. And I think I just have, I don't know, little veins, wobbly veins, skinny veins. I don't know. I'm not in the medical field, but I had went to get my blood drawn. And the story isn't getting my blood drawn or having to have them poke me 4 times and have the needle move around and all that stuff. That's not the story. The story is, so when she did manage to tap into a vein, and by the way, I should have put a disclaimer, like, hopefully the talk of blood does not make you sick. I don't want anybody passing out here. If it does, skip forward about a minute and a half, okay? But so when the lady, when she puts the needle in to get blood kind of sucks out. It automatically comes out. And for whatever reason, up until yesterday, I never thought about it. Or I did, but I didn't think to ask. And so I was like, huh. And so I said, this might be a silly question. I was like, but how, what is it that's making the blood just kind of flow out of my arm into the tube, right? Because sometimes it would flow and sometimes it wouldn't. And I was like, surely it's not just because you poked it and it's just like spurting into filling up the nearest container. But she explained that somebody had invented like a vacuum type seal. Like back in the day, they used to have syringes, where they would pull it and it would suck it in that way. But now I guess it's some automatic vacuum thing that sucks the blood out. And I was like, that is so cool. And I was like, people are so smart. Just for that little invention. But just for knowing, how to draw blood and how to get the blood and have it automatically kind of go into the little containers and etc. Anywho, so I thought that was awesome that people were smart. But I'm very quickly moving on. I don't want to stay on that. But I will talk about last episode, I had mentioned how coughing, there are sometimes are the worst times to cough. And I think I'd mentioned when you're getting a massage, when you're getting your eyebrows done, when you are on the platform and it's a quiet time and the preacher's talking, those are church, worst times to cough. But so I recently got a massage and I had to laugh. Like for the most part, obviously you want to stay awake and just so you can enjoy the massage. And I do try, but sometimes the massages are so nice. And I was with this lady, and she was giving me my massage on my back. And next thing I know, you guys, I do this like that snort. You know that snort that wakes you up and you're like, And I was like, first off, I was disappointed because I'm like, when you were sleeping, you did not get to enjoy that massage. And then I was embarrassed because I was like, she knows I was sleeping. And then that made me wonder, was I like snoring during this? Like, was this terrible? Like, oh my goodness. So that, I just want to say, so sleeping during massage is not a good thing. And then snorting to wake yourself up is even worse. It was very embarrassing. But anywho, there are 3 silly random things that I want to mention that I thought about this past week. And one thing is I always look, and I know this, but I've discovered that I always carry in way too much stuff from my car to the house. And I do not know why or how. But it seems to be all the time. And it's got to be, I guess it's a female thing. I don't know. But I have seen like videos or shorts or things where people have joked about, guys getting out of the car and it's like them, and then girls getting out of the car or in the car with all their stuff. And why is it so true? It is so true. Like 100%. I was like, my goodness, I had my purse, I had my work bag, I had my lunch bag, I had my water bottle, I had my phone, I had, I guess, the things that I didn't want to put in my bag, but I had to carry. I was just like, what in the world is this? And it's like every day, getting in my car, getting out of my car, got my coat, I don't know. But I am that typical female in those videos that just always has their things. But I'm like, there's got to be a better way. Like, surely. Like, maybe I need a bigger bag. I don't know, but you got to have your purse, right? You got to have your lunchbox. You got to have your work bag. I haven't figured it out. But it's funny also, like, those things make sense. But I also have a lot of random things that I just hold in my hand. And that I don't know why. Like I'll have my phone. And maybe I took like my hair tie out. So I'll have a hair tie. And then I'll have my water bottle. And then I'll have like just something awkward. I don't even know what. A random book. Some type of something. But it's always awkward. And I'm trying to hold it. All these things while getting into the house. Or even getting into my car. And I don't know why. And if you're somebody who doesn't do this, okay, send me a message. Come my way. Send something my way. Let me know, what is your system for not carrying in and out so much stuff like every day? I need to figure out a system. But that's one thing I noticed. And this kind of happened thinking about all my work stuff at work this week. I was with a kid, and the kid had accidentally cut his finger on the metal part of his notebook. And there was like just a nice little scratch, and he asked for a Band-Aid. I was like, yeah, I'll give you one. And so one thing that I've always noticed, or something that I noticed when I was a kid, that for whatever reason I liked and thought was so cool, was the way that adults put Band-Aids on children. Like, I just remember that they would, place the little cushion part on the sore, take off one side of the paper and wrap it around the finger, take off the other side and wrap it around. Just so smooth, very smooth, like way of putting the Band-Aid on the finger. And I was like, this is my chance. I'm going to put this Band-Aid on this kid's finger, and I'm going to do it smooth like I remember adults did for me when I was younger. And I started out good. I did. I started out good. I put the cushiony part on his little scratch, and I, took the paper off one end because you don't want to touch anything, right? And so I took the paper off one end and wrapped it around his finger. And then that's where it all messed up. I took the paper off the other side, and I just tried to like take it off while also pulling it around to the other side. I don't know how it got, like, somehow the two insides touched though. You know how, like, if you got the sticky part, well, one side, the sticky part touched the other side of the sticky part. And so then I'm like, oh man, like my smooth lay-on did not work. And so I'm like trying to fix it on this poor kid's finger. And so I'm trying to like kind of tear them apart, like rip them apart a little bit, undo the sticky part, and then re-wrap it around it. But then this other part got stuck, and I just let it go after, like, I got it on there and I left it on there, but I was like, that was not smooth. Once again, when you try to be, it's so funny how, and y'all can see where I get okay, sometimes I gotta let go of this perfectionist thing and just be who I am, because I was like, I'm gonna be that smooth teacher, that smooth adult who can just put that Band-Aid on there, just, with ease. And I somehow got the sticky parts touching, and I was like, nah, okay, sorry, kid. Like, you're probably gonna have to change that Band-Aid in like 20 minutes because it's not gonna last all day. But anywho, so that was just a random story from school. But so as y'all know, we're in March, right? And we've had our New Year's resolutions, things that we're trying to do more of. And one of those things that I've been trying to do more of is reading my Bible. This has been a long-term goal. I don't think I started that goal necessarily during the new year. Maybe I did, but I feel like I had started it beforehand. But that's been something I've wanted to do, is reading my Bible every day, listening to my Bible, things like that. Well, I have the YouVersion app, and on there, it gives you a verse of the day. And one of these days this past week, the verse of the day was a verse out of Revelation. And it was just a cool verse. And I was like, oh, this is a fun verse. And I was like, you know what? Let me just read the whole chapter, because it gives you that option. Y'all, somehow I got pulled into reading Revelation, which obviously I've read before. I've read my Bible all the way through at least once. And I've read Revelation a few times. And I'll tell you why, like how I know, or why I've read it a few times. But it's been a while. Let's just say it's probably been a while though, honestly, since I've read Revelation. So I started reading it, and y'all, if y'all haven't read it in a while, if y'all have not read it in a while, it is an interesting book. I mean, I end up reading, I think, like 6 chapters, because I was like, well, what else is he going to see? What else is he going to talk about? What else is there? Like, and I know it's there because I've read it before. And my dad, he's a big Revelation buff. Like, he knows a lot about Revelation, to the point that I remember when I was a kid, when I was 12, they gave us, I think I was 12, maybe 11, I guess, because I was still in the kids' church and not the youth group yet. But we had opportunities where our youth minister at the time would give us a chance to speak to all the other kids in the class or whatever. And so it was my turn to speak, and I decided to speak / preach on the book of Revelation, not the entire book, but I decided to talk about the locust things that looked, had like the heads of lions, tail of a scorpion thing, that whole thing, right? And I decided to talk about Revelation. I don't know what my point was. I don't know if my point was get saved or get ready. This is what's coming. But I distinctly remember I drew a picture to go along with my sermonette. And man, I wish I still had that picture, but I tried to draw like the lion and the human and the tail and the locust and all of that to go along, with what I was trying to share with these other 11 and under kids. And I just think about that, especially after just reading Revelation. I was like, what in the world, Joy? Like what was that for? But my dad, I think I did it because I was greatly influenced by my father, who once again loves Revelation, taught a lot from it, had a lot of good things from that. And I think, that kind of thing in me that wants to make people proud. I think I became interested in Revelation based on my dad, and I still definitely find it interesting. But it is like interesting, like more than I remember. So, read you a verse in Revelation, and then watch it turn into like several chapters, and your eyebrows are all squished, and you're like, what? Revelation's a wild book, but it's a good one. It's a good one, y'all. So that's part of, I've been trying to read my Bible more and do more of that stuff. But for a little while, I did take a break from social media and things on my phone. And I talked about that, how, I took a break from Facebook, but like my finger would like automatically go to click on it. It's wild, honestly, if you think about it, how much we check our phones. Like when you're bored, when you have just a moment, literally just pick it up and look at it. So I think I need another break from my phone. But another reason I need a break from my phone, or if not my phone, my social media or my games or my accounts or things, is because lately, and I don't know if it's I've just been distracted, or maybe it's getting older. I don't know what it is, but lately I will have a thought like, oh, I need to make note of that. And I will get my phone, turn it on, like flip it on, and then immediately be distracted by, oh, look, my Facebook. Oh, look, my Instagram. Oh, look, my game thing. Oh, look, YouTube. And completely forget the original reason why I got on my phone. You remember back in the day, like, people would say they're forgetful when they walk into a room and they're like, now, what am I here for? It's new age. New age now is when you click open your phone and you're like, now, what was I doing on here? And it's because you get so distracted by all the other things on your phone. And I will find myself, like, I was like, okay, let me look up the scripture. And I will open up my phone and then all of a sudden just see another app and be like, oh, and now click on that. It'll remind me of this, or I'll just get distracted. And then I'm like, wait a minute, what was my original reason for opening up my phone? So I got to figure out a way. I got to figure out something. And I do think I moved my Facebook icon app button thing to a different spot on my in my phone. So I do think that could be something, like maybe if I change where everything is located, it'll drive me nuts for a while because you got to get, used to everything. And then because it's so automatic, your finger or your thumb like automatically clicks on it, like knows where to go. So maybe I need to do something where like I have to either swipe 3 slides over or something. I don't know, but I need to figure out something different because I've been getting so distracted and just with simple stuff, not even big stuff. Like I said, I'll get on my phone just to maybe put a note in and then completely forget what I had to write my note in because, oh, look, there's YouTube. I wonder if my latest YouTuber put something up, or, oh yeah, I meant to check my account over here. Oh yeah, I also meant to do that. And then it's just crazy. But this is another reason. Well, I think I need to put my social media on hold, but also why it's hard to do because it's fun. So lately, another thing that I've been into lately have been, and I don't know which algorithm has caught on to this. I think it's on my Facebook. The algorithm has caught me. I watched like one animal rescue video and now they keep popping up. And you guys, I keep watching them. I don't know what it is, but I am into these animal rescue videos and my little heart, I see it and it just goes pounding. But then when they get rescued, like I feel good and I'm like, oh yay, like they rescued them. And so that's been on my algorithm. They figured it out that apparently I like animal rescue videos. Which was the one? There was one specific one that there was one with the dog. I don't know if you've seen it, but I saw this one recently. There's so many I could probably share, but this one was the one with the dog who was in water, and people had to go down this like wall thing, but like a steep wall incline, but it was so steep, and it was like nowhere for you to grip, that they had to make like a human chain to go down to get this dog. And when I'm saying I'm engaged the entire time, like we know what's going to happen, right? We know the dog's going to get rescued, but I'm sitting there watching the whole video just like, are they going to get it? Okay, what are they going to do next? Oh no, his grip loosened. Oh no, and just being so engaged in that. And then I can't remember which one it was now. There was another one I recently saw one that I did not think I would be interested in this at all. And I've watched the whole thing, and I think I've watched it 2 or 3 times, but it was this video with this bee. Oh, and it had like a tapeworm or something. It had a parasite, and you know how tiny bees are, right? But this person was able to like pull this parasite. Okay. Let me just pause. Sorry, trigger warning. Oh gosh. Okay. This episode, I'm just gonna have to put on the across the top trigger warning. We talk about blood. We talk about parasites and bees, and oh my goodness. Sorry, you guys, but he pulled the parasite out, and the little bee was just struggling. But then like the relief of like when the parasite was out and the little bee was okay. And you guys, like I just was like, the poor little bee. And I don't like bees or insects or anything, honestly, bug related, but my little heart went out to the bee, and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad it's okay. You guys, you just have seasons where you get stuck on videos, and I guess this is my season of animal rescue videos. Now, this one, definitely trigger warning again. I think I'm going to have to put that in the title, trigger warning, is I used to watch, and please don't be disgusted, but I used to, like, there was a time where there was a season where I would watch those, those cyst popping videos. I won't say pimple popping because those didn't interest me near as much as like the cyst and like the getting out like the cyst or the infection or like build up. I know it's so gross. I'm so sorry, but I watched those because they were so fascinating. Like, just okay, I won't go into detail, but they were fascinating to me. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's all we need trigger warnings for the rest of the episode. I'm scanning through my notes. There shouldn't be anything else that's gross or anything. I'm so sorry. Yes, but anywho, so yeah, that's I need to take a break from social media because animal rescue videos have got me hooked. And y'all know I talked about how the cookies is on my algorithm, so I see lots of cookie stuff. I'm still seeing that. But this is the bad part. So I recently joined a Facebook group, which who does that? Who does that really? But I recently joined a Facebook group that talks about takeout for our city where I live. And let me just say, it is like one of my favorite groups right now because people just post different places in my city, and they post like their recommendations, or people will be like, hey, where can I get a really good steak? And they'll post that. Or hey, where can I get some yummy crepes? And people will post it, and it's great. And then they'll post like their reviews, of course, but then they'll also post pictures of the food and things like that. And it's just a kind of really nice, handy resource that I've been on lately that I've really been enjoying. And now, but of course, the flip side, the bad side is now I want to try out all of these places. I've looked up a couple places that I want to try and be like, okay, they say they have some crepes, which I really want some crepes. Like, I wish we had more crepe places, or places, I guess, that were French food that served crepes, because I think we literally only have like a couple in the whole city. But when Hubs and I, what got me on crepes was when for our honeymoon, we went up to Michigan. We went to Frankenmuth, and we went to this one little French place, and they had crepes, and that was our first experience with crepes, and they were so good. So now when we go to most places, we do try to find, a place to have crepes. And y'all remember when I talked about the one in the UK? Amazing. So I wish we had some here. And I've seen a couple reviews for a few, so I think I'm going to try to check them out at some point. And once I do, I'll let y'all know if it was good and worth it. But I really like this group because everybody is, sharing their sharing just where they've been, the different places they've been, the restaurants, their thoughts. It's kind of like their food segments, but for specifically where I live. And so I love that. It's a great group. I haven't contributed anything yet other than I think I did like somebody. Somebody wanted to suggest something and somebody wrote what I would suggest. So I think I just liked that one. And that's my contribution. I honestly don't like to do much on Facebook. I get on there, but I really don't like to comment a lot or even post a lot, not compared to some. And same for Instagram. I have my, you guys know I've got this account, but I also have a personal account that literally has two posts on it, you guys. And one of the posts is just telling everybody, hey, I have a podcast called Something About Tuesdays. Go to that. And then the second post is just when I won the Apostolic Voice. And so both of those posts were made in the last 3 weeks. And I've had my account since 2011. That just goes to show how much I don't post on there or do much on there. But right, what social media do I need to take a break from? Well, I do need to take a break because while I don't post anything, I do scan it and look at and scroll it a lot. So I do need to take a break from it, or at least manage it in some way. I do have that thing where you can set the timer for, however much time you want to do it per day, but I always ignore it. They're like, would you like to ignore for the day? Yes, please. And then I ignore it. And I'm like, okay, why'd you do that? But anywho, so I wanted to say, with all this inspiration of going out and going to try these different restaurants, I had a funny conversation with my hubs. So we're trying to save money. We've got a project, we'll just call it a project for now, that we're trying to save some money for. And so he was like, hey, maybe you should slow down on going out, as much as you like to go, because I love to eat out. Y'all know I'm not a cook, and because I don't like to cook and I don't enjoy cooking, I like to eat out because I love food and I like different food and I can't cook it all. So then I just go out and get, what I want. But as you know, that can be expensive, which we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But he was like, maybe we should, slow down on the going out. You should slow down on the going out. And he was like, let's try that. And me, not even think about it, but bragging, was like, Hubs, I was like, I'm going out, but I've got rewards that I can use, because I was going to Panera. And I was like, I can use rewards and that'll save money. I was, aren't you proud of me? And he was like, yeah, but I know what it takes for you to earn a reward. Usually it takes, spending a certain amount of money, going a certain amount of visits. And he was like, so, wow, I'm glad you're using a reward. I know what it took for you to get that reward. And I was like, huh, yeah, you kind of got a point there. And I was like, okay, all right, okay, you're right. Maybe I need to figure out something different. Even though I was very proud of the fact, I was like, I'm using a reward. I get 20% off, I get this free cookie. And so, so I do also need to slow down on that. We'll see how that goes. I'm definitely trying. But yeah, cooking isn't just near as fun. And, I still want to try these different things. But anyway, so back to what I was saying about food being expensive. So I had heard, right, that fast food was no longer cheap. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it's not. And surprisingly, when I go out to eat, I don't do most fast food chains. And by fast food chains, I mean your McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, things like that. I kind of do more Panera, Chicken Salad Chick, McAllister's, Qdoba, those type of, they're still fast food, but not quite the same, if that makes sense, or if you can see the difference there. And so I heard that even fast food was no longer cheap. And I was like, yeah, I can see that, but okay, whatever. I don't go there that often. Well, the other night, I was coming home from church, I believe, and Hubs and I drove separately. I think he had to work or something like that. So I was coming home, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick me up something to eat. I know, I do need to work on it. And I was like, I'm feeling Taco Bell. And one of the reasons why I was feeling Taco Bell was because they have something that I really love, the nacho fries. Oh, I love the nacho fries. And so I Googled it because I know they're one of those things that are kind of a limited edition. And so I Googled and I was like, okay, nacho fries, are they there? And I read somewhere that it was like, nacho fries are here to stay. And I was like, yay, that'll make the whole ride and trip worth it. And so I, go to Taco Bell, and strike number one, they did not have my nacho fries. And I was like, what? What? What did I read? Maybe it was just for a specific location or something, but I was very disappointed that they did not have my nacho fries. Hurt my feelings. No. So I was like, okay, I'll just order something else. And that's when I had a real look at the menu. And what I normally get is the Crunchwrap Supreme. And I don't know when's the last time I got it, but I tell you what, I mean, I feel like the last time I got the Crunchwrap Supreme, it was maybe like $8, $7.99, maybe $9 at most. I really think it was like $8, seven something, $8, maybe $9. And you guys, it was like $10.99 or something, or 10 and some change for the Crunchwrap Supreme. And when I say like literally it's the exact same thing, I mean it's the Crunchwrap, your free taco, and your drink. And I was like, $11 at Taco Bell for a meal? When I was in college, I remember Taco Bell was like my go-to when I ran out of all of my money for my meal money, my meal plan allowance. I always ran out of that by, I don't know, 2.5 months into the semester. And so I remember going to Taco Bell. I specifically remember one time I think it was $2 in my account, maybe $3. Broke college student, like literally $2, maybe $3. And I was like, I am so hungry. And I went to Taco Bell to get their tacos because the tacos used to be, I think, 69 or 79 cents like each. And I remember I went and got 2 tacos and had enough money because I had $2 or $3 in my account, like legit. That's that's how much Taco Bell had your back in the day, right? They were like, you ain't got no money, we still got you. Like, we got something for you here. And so, like, even though if you get the meal, it was always like less than $10. You wouldn't spend more than $10 at Taco Bell. And so now I'm like, $11. You guys, it was 11 something for a Taco Bell meal, which was literally like the same thing that it's always been. And I was like, wow, people were not kidding. This inflation stuff is real. And I've known it, I've seen it, but it finally hit home when I went to Taco Bell. It was like, okay, all right then. And I was like, I do like Taco Bell, but I don't know if I can spend that much on that. I was like, oh my goodness. Like it felt wrong to pay over $10 for some Taco Bell. But I mean, it was fine. It was fine. Like Taco Bell, sometimes it hits the spot, like it does. But I will say, paying that much hurt me a little bit. It made it a little less tasty. I will say that just a little. Taco Bell's still great, but it did make it a little less tasty knowing I spent $11 for it. And at that point, I was like, I really probably could make this taco at home. But anywho, so Taco Bell, I'm trying to not eat out as much, saving money. Also trying to be healthy. I have been trying to drink more water. That is one of the goals. And I have found that I do drink more water if it's room temperature, actually. I know, that's kind of a weird thing, but I like cold water, of course, but I don't need it to be cold. As with most drinks, like I know a lot of times, like I'm one of those people that when we go out to eat, I get my drink, if it's a soda or anything, without ice. Now I'll get my water with ice because it's the same. But maybe I shouldn't because maybe I'll drink more of it if I get it without ice. Anywho, but I normally don't like ice in my drinks because I just feel it waters everything down. Weirdly enough, the only drinks that I do want ice in sometimes are Sprite and ginger ale. And I don't, which is weird because Sprite watered down is disgusting. Okay, same with ginger ale. They're very, very gross. But I think it's because I don't like the sizzle of soda. I know that's like what most people's favorite part is, that I guess that the acidic sizzly part of soda. But I'm not a huge, like, I don't like the feeling in my mouth. I don't like the taste of it. I don't like it going down my throat. I don't like any of that. And so I do find like the ice in Sprite kind of helps, I think, bring that sizzle down after, a couple minutes of it being there. And then that's when I can drink it. Now, of course, you leave it for like 10, 15 minutes and that Sprite is not going to be any good anymore with that ice in it. But there is this sweet spot between where it's a little too acidic for me, where it's like mellowed down and I still get the flavor without it being watered down. But anywho, so I noticed that I do like water, I think room temp, and I think I drink it more that way. So that is something that I'm going to try to do more of, to be healthier and things like that, which kind of brings me to this point. I wrote this down because this is what I felt this last couple weeks is our temperature has been going up. It saddens me because I totally wanted another crazy winter. I don't want to say winter storm because I didn't want anything bad to happen, but I really wanted snow. You guys know, like, I just want some snow and lots of it. And we had maybe 1 week of like 2 inches and that's it. So I really wanted some snow, but it's starting to warm up and I don't think it's going back. I do, like, the temperature is rising, and even though it's going down, it's not going down as low. We are getting closer into spring. In fact, spring is here in a couple of weeks. So, okay, winter, you did your best. We're moving on now. But what I found though is, well, one, spring. Y'all, I do like spring. While I want a crazy winter, if winter ain't gonna do what it's supposed to, then let's move on to spring, because spring brings this is what I wrote. Spring brings the scent of motivation. With spring, there's like just something in the air. That's what it feels like. And it's not the pollen. Yes, the pollen, which is driving all of our allergies and things like that kind of crazy, and the changing weather, which is messing up our throats and voices and getting us sick. But with the longer days, with the sun being out more, with the temperatures rising, with those moments that feel so good where you're like, oh, I don't have to wear a jacket. There also brings us like motivation to, it brings some life. And I guess it's nature, obviously, because, things are, I don't want to say they're dead, but they're dormant during the winter. But they start coming back to life in the spring. And I think that kind of happens even for us humans. Like, we get maybe more energy to do things and we're feeling more motivated, which is why, New Year's resolutions, I was like, they got to be quarterly, because the first quarter usually is pretty miserable. It's gray skies, things like that. And it's hard to be motivated when, you are more, I guess, inward focused, that cozy vibe. I don't want to say lazy, but more relaxed vibe of winter. Whereas with spring, though, it's like, okay, now I want to do something like spring cleaning. Let me freshen up everything. You're ready for freshness. You're ready for newness. You're ready for life. And so I think that's the cool part about spring, is it brings that scent of motivation where you're motivated to do more. I mean, you guys can tell this whole podcast I've been talking about, okay, I want to drink more water. I want to go out to eat less. I want to save my money. I want to, take a break from my phone. I'm feeling all kinds of motivated to do these things. And I think part of that is the fact that we're in spring, and that spring is coming up, and it's that good feeling. Let me know if you guys feel that. Like, do you feel more motivated, like, as spring comes, to just do things? Like my New Year's resolutions, I'm ready to tackle again, because this last month and a half, I've been like, I'm ready to do more, read my Bible more, read my devotional, do all these things. Like, I'm just so ready. and I attribute it to just the changing in the air and the temperature and the life that spring brings with itself. So, and that's just my little quote there, that spring brings the scent of motivation. I don't know if that quote makes sense at all, but I knew it had to do something with the smell of the air, because that spring scent, but also feeling motivated. So maybe like the spring scent brings motivation. I don't know if you can have a scent of motivation, but y'all know what I'm trying to say with that. So yeah. So with that, y'all, let me tell you, I have my music segment. There's 2 songs that I want to recommend. And usually when I recommend 2 songs, because they have 2 different vibes, which they do, not completely different, but slightly different. So the first song I want to recommend was actually recommended to me from my friend, who often actually recommends songs, and a lot of my songs comes from this couple from church that I go with. Shout out, hey Katie, hey Brian. But this song is called Por Donde Voy. It's in Spanish. I know. Isn't that great? There is, of course, the English version. Let me see if I can. I think it's called The Way That I Take. I can't remember. I think it's called The Way That I Take, but Por Donde Voy. And it is from think First Pentecostal Church. Let me double check. I watch me check my phone and then get completely distracted and be like, what was I looking up again? No. Okay, yes, it's called The Way That I Take from First Pentecostal Church of North Little Rock, Port Voix. And it's just got it's got good words to it, but also I kind of like the verses. They sound kind of unique. And they I don't know, it just sounds good. It's a slow song, but not completely slow. It's like a slow medium song, maybe more medium. Starts out slow, but kind of moves towards medium. And it's just a good song. Once again, there are different songs for different purposes. And this is one that I could listen to. When I started listening to it, I'm telling you, I listened to it like 6 times in a row and didn't get annoyed with it. It was just one of those songs that's a great background song. It's a great song for like your mind to land for a moment and while you're doing your thing. Kind of like this podcast, right? But it's a great song for your mind to land. I wouldn't say the song does a lot musically, but what it does do, it sounds good and it's pleasant and it gives a good vibe, I think, and it makes you feel good listening to it, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to describe, but that's one that I would check out if you had a chance. English or Spanish version. I currently prefer the Spanish version because I'm, working on my Spanish and just trying to get more Spanish immersion. But that one is my one for that. And then the other one I just recently got into, which I had heard before. In fact, I think it's been recommended to me before, or other people have said that they like it, but it's called In the Room, and it's by Maverick City. And I enjoy Maverick City stuff. Y'all know. I think my very first song segment was Maverick City was Wait on You, maybe. I'm gonna wait on you. Which, I mean, y'all, that's still one of the best. But this one's called In the Room, and I think it's featuring Tasha Cobbs on there as well. And when I first listened to it, I think I had heard the beginning and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's not bad. And literally I just skipped and didn't listen to the rest of the song, which you never really should do. You should try to listen to a whole song at least once, because sometimes the best parts don't happen until the middle of the end of the song. Once it gets past the chorus or gets into a bridge or an interlude or something like that. But I hadn't listened to it all the way through yet. But this time I decided to listen to it all the way through, because we'll be singing it this year at Ladies Conference, which, yay! I get the chance and opportunity to be on the praise team at our district's Ladies Conference. I'm very excited about that. But anywho, so that song is on the set list. And I was like, okay, let me listen to it all the way through because I'm going to have to learn it anyway. You guys, I am so glad I listened to it all the way through. It is so good. And kind of like the other song, it doesn't necessarily do a lot. Like, I really think there's a verse and a chorus. And the chorus, I think, is very basic. I can't think of it right now. Very basic. But it's that bridge. And even the bridge, like the background singers, or like whoever the singers are, all they do is like, he's here. He's here. I think he's here or he's there, whatever the words are. But it's the ad-libs. And they're kind of ad-libs, but they're planned because they say the same thing. But the ad-libs that Naomi and Tasha do are just so cool. Like, just the way they sing it, just the sound of it. Like, the words are good, too. Like, scripture and everything, When I search the heavens high, he's there. When I search the mountains low, he's there. When he's there. No matter where I go, he's there. I mean, y'all, it's just a fun one. It's a good one. I've been jamming to it for the last 2 days because that's when I decided to start listening to it. And I've already sent it to my music ministers at church. I'm like, hey, this would be a great song to sing. I haven't heard back from either one of them, but I did throw out there. I'm like, this would be so much fun because it doesn't seem hard, at least vocally wise. Musically might be a different story, but that's a really fun one too. And it's just a good one to listen to, just to jam out. If you need a reminder that God's there, na 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 na, he's there, da na 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 na, dun, dun. Like, it's just good, and it's repetitive, but in a good way, and just fun. It's a very fun song. So my first song suggestion, the Pour Voix, is a little more mellow. Like I said, kind of more background. Listen to it while you're doing something, something that you don't necessarily need high energy, or just, I listened to it in the morning when I was waking up, like very first thing in the morning. I think it was a Sunday morning when I listened to it. So listen to that Sunday morning. Pick a Sunday morning and listen to that. But then the other one, pick a day where you're heading to work and listen to that one in your car and jam to that one in your car, and completely enjoy that one. So yeah, that's my music segment. I do not have a food segment, other than to say I missed the nacho fries from Taco Bell. And yes, but we'll drop that. Hopefully they will come back sometime soon. But even if they do, there'll probably be lots of money. But anywho, you guys, thank you so much for listening. You guys, we're over a year in. We're back into spring. We started in spring and we're back into spring, and that is so awesome. Thank you guys for listening to last week's episode, the bonus episode. In fact, I think I had more people listen to the bonus episode than the week before's previous episode. I was like, oh, okay, great. But I love it. As long as people are listening, I think it's awesome. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and for listening. I hope you guys have an amazing next couple of weeks. The weather, I hope it continues to warm up just a little bit. Not too hot, because we definitely don't want summer yet. But warm up. I pray that air motivates you, helps you feel, like you can accomplish anything. And I also hope that you're reminded that just be who you are, okay? Don't walk into a room trying to prove yourself to anyone. Be who you are. Be who God made you to be, with all that you have. Be the best version of yourself, but be you, right? So anyway, thank you guys so much for listening, and I will catch y'all in a couple weeks.